Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. Tonight, it's time to make a choice, and it's an easy one and a yummy one because it involves dessert. Yes, food on the Glenn Beck program is back. Here it is. Choice number one, it involves pie. Do you want to wait for somebody to tell you how much of a sliver of pie, a day-old crummy pie, you can have? You're a divider. Or do you want to get off your butt, get into the kitchen, learn how to bake the best homemade pie you've ever tasted? I mean, it'll be some work, but success is your reward. Do you want to take it or bake it? Tonight, give me an hour. We have pie. Let me know your decision. Come on, let's go. Oh, yeah. Hello, America. Tonight, we're going to talk about pie. And not because I'm a big fat fatty fatso. I also can get people to run out and get pie for me. And then I can, after the show, just stuff my fat face with it. No. This is science, man. I want to demonstrate a fundamental disagreement that Americans have with many of the leaders in Washington and the globalists like spooky George Soros. Now, I'm going to demonstrate this here in a minute. Remember, I'm a baker, not a divider. It's kind of like a lover, not a fighter, but it has a yummy ending. Well, no, never mind. The administration and the progressives and, quite honestly, the Marxists all see the world's wealth contained in this is it. You just have one pie. The entire world only has one pie. And so they want to make sure that absolutely everybody, Mo, the small businessman, you know, he runs the bar downtown, and Mayor Quimby, he's with the government, you know, he's the mayor. And then we have Mr. Burns, he runs the nuclear power plant. Okay, he gets a slice of pie. And then you have Homer, which I heard from Cass Sunstein represents you, the average American person. Dope! And then, of course, Barney, the drunk, who does nothing but drink all day. He also gets a slice of pie. Now, where's Quimby? Quimby actually should have a bigger piece of pie. I'm going to take that one from you. I mean, you know, I know you're Homer and everything, but he should have some more. And who's this? This is Mo, the small business. I hate those business people. I'm going to give it to Mr. Burns. Now, that doesn't seem right because we should probably take it from Mr. Burns because he's the richest guy. But no. He's in with Quimby. Got it? Yummy. Looking good so far, huh? A lot of people in our government now are teaching our children that this is the way our system should be. The rest of us know that the free market system says that we're all bakers. We're all bakers. And we don't have to keep dividing the pie because every time you get a new person in, they're like, oh yeah, well I hate this guy. And this guy, he's got to have his pie over here. And then the next election, and this guy should have his pie over here, and some of this guy's pie should go back over to him. And then this piece goes over here. And then this piece goes over here, but then I take this piece and I put this piece back here. Yummy, isn't it? Instead, I'm on a diet, but this was a mistake. I have to lick it off my fingers. Instead, what the free market system says is, hey, why don't we just bake more pies? Because there's no such thing as just one pie. All you have to do is learn how to bake pies. That's it. You're a baker, not a divider. Someone has to stand up and say that. Americans are bakers, not dividers. But see, we've taught everybody that these pies don't even exist. It's only this pie. And some of this science. Don't do this at home. It's diet. Who makes whipped cream and then doesn't make it yummy? Ah! All right. The problem is people in our country now are teaching our children that there are no pies. And they are probably teaching that there is crappy whipped cream that doesn't have any fat in it and is better for you. And so our children and a lot of our population, this is all they're looking at. They've forgotten that there is a pie to be made that they can make. And the transition from divider to baker is rough. Because let's face it, a lot of people have gotten comfortable just waiting around for the government piece of pie that they now feel they're entitled to. At what point did we ever think it was self-evident that all men are created equal and they all come with a pie? At what point did God say, you have a slice of pie? No, you have an opportunity to bake a pie. We have to teach these people who have just done this with the pie that there's more pie out there. There's as much pie for everybody. You just have to make it. But that's going to be tough because you need strangely unlabeled flour and eggs and utensils. You need all of this stuff. And you need a recipe. And you need to be taught baking is not easy. Well, in that time, when you're trying to make pie, some people won't make very good pie, and they're not used to fending for themselves. And there will be serious pain. You're going through cooking school. You won't have very much pie, or it'll really stink. You got to get a cookbook. You got to do it yourself. That's where this comes in. Charity. I'm a small government guy, a libertarian guy. Charity. Charity. Help each other. You say somebody else is working hard in the kitchen and they're like, my pie's not working. You go in and help them by choice. And when it still stinks, you're like, you're a really bad baker, but here, have a slice of my pie. That's your choice. Look, trouble is coming. I've read 2 books. This is for fun, believe it or not. I read 2 books. I think 2 years ago I read this one, World Made by Hand. And this one, 1 Second After. Both of them are novels. This one is really kind of more Al Gore. The world is falling apart and we're all going to... And this one's more conservative. We're all going to die because of terrorism. So, same message, though. World goes to hell in a handbasket, and you don't have any of the stuff that we have. In this one is really, really good, but so is this one in completely different ways. This one made me think... No, read them both. They're really good. But this one had a little extra something in it. In this one, there was a major catastrophe. It was an EMP that goes off, and society collapses, and we lose everything. Computers, electricity, cars, everything. Everything that has a chip in it. Well, I mean, because I read this one, and I thought, wow, life stinks without technology. Okay? But this one had something else in it that this one didn't. Something that I hadn't considered. It went a little deeper into refrigeration. No refrigeration. You can't keep pie. You can't keep anything that is perishable, which meant no liquid medicines could be kept. Now, I don't take insulin, so I didn't even think of that. Have you ever thought to consider how many of us are on some sort of life-saving or prolonging medication? In the book, 1 Second After, it's about 30 days into this catastrophe, and the doctor explains that we're running out of medicine now because most people have about 30 days supply of medication in their house that they need. So first, anybody who has anything that has to be kept in the refrigeration, for instance, anybody who is taking insulin dies. Anybody in the hospital dies. But then the people who are taking any kind, I mean, how many of us have high blood pressure? How many of us have cholesterol problems? Not me. A lot of us shouldn't be alive today. A month later, after the first tragic event, and a whole bunch of people die, a month later, there's another round of massive dying from meds running out. There's no insulin, there's no antipsychotic drugs, no cholesterol-lowering pills. There's strokes, there's heart attacks, suicides, disturbed people on the loose. It would be chaos. We don't even think about that. We don't think of how many of us are alive today and walking around today that shouldn't be and wouldn't be if it wasn't for modern medicine. Well, it's the same thing, I think, with handouts, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about tonight. Just like we are slaves, many of us, slaves to medication. We are dependent on medication. If we don't have it, we'll die. Many of us now are slaves from government handouts, and many of us don't even know that we are enslaved. I want to show you a chart. This is a chart of population that is taking a government bailout, okay? Here it is, 1983, about 25% of Americans. It's 44%. And this number has got to go, that's 2008. 44%, nearly half of all Americans live in a household which someone receives government benefits. That's far more than any other time in history. Well, let me ask you. This is why, again, I say a small government answer is charity. You've got to give and help each other out. But let me ask you, if it's not because the Tea Party gets their small government, it's just because we dry up. Well, what happens? One of the many reasons we get off this merry-go-round, or need to, is the government, I'll try to say this with a straight face, may not always be able to provide for all of our needs. So then what? It's just like, it's not like they're just trying to provide for our needs. But because of their view that this is right, that these pies don't exist, it's only these pies, there's only one single piece of pie, they keep slicing it into pieces. They believe that they need to provide for not only the people here, but also we need to slice up. This is where their real guilt comes from. This is where the global Marxism comes. Where's America's plate? Here's America's plate. We have half the pie. But remember, we first baked the pie. Then you have Africa, which is a little teeny slice. Then you have the Middle East with a little teeny slice. And then you have Europe. Well, this makes people feel really, really guilty. Well, it doesn't make me feel guilty. It makes me feel bad for Africa and the Middle East. But a lot of times, people are killing each other over there, and what are you going to do about it? They've been killing each other for 5,000 years. Don't take my pie. Hey, what do you say? We can help them learn to make pie. And if they choose to make pie, then they're going to be okay, and we'll be there to help them. That's charity. What was it, teach a man to fish? Let's teach a man how to make pie. I don't really like fish. Pie's better. And it's healthy. It's got fruit in it, you know. Here's the thing. Right now, we're saying that we're going to try to save Africa. We just want to help the people in Africa. What we're doing is, with our stimulus package, we took more than $800,000 and we spent it over in Africa for a genital hygiene program. So, in other words, let's just be honest, we took, right here, we took some of our pie, sent it over to Africa. Now, why would you do that? I mean, it doesn't matter how ridiculous or how great the program may be. We're not making any new more pie ourselves. We're going to run out. We do things like this because there are people that think we have too much pie, and Africa doesn't have nearly enough. Now, how do I know that those in and around Congress and this administration believe in this pie theory and not this pie theory? Well, let me go to Michelle Obama. She was campaigning for her husband in April 2008, and she said, this is an amazing quote, that Americans don't really want that much. Watch. They don't want the whole pie. Most Americans feel blessed just by being able to thrive a little bit. But that's becoming even more out of reach. The truth is, in order to get things like universal health care and revamped education system, then someone is going to have to give up a piece of their pie so someone else can have some more. That's not the way the system works. That's not what changed the world. The poor will always be among us. But that's just one example from the Obama administration. There are tons of them. The mindset is that wealth is finite. Let me tell you something. Wealth is like the ocean. And you're coming out with a bucket of water and somebody else says, "Don't spill any of that. You've got to give me a cup of it."